Hello DigiDestined and welcome back to the Digital Champion HQ, the place for all things Digimon. Today we're going to be covering Agumon in all of his forms, from his baby form to his mega evolution. Now it's important to note that I will not be covering every single form. I will not be going over the X antibodies. I'll be going over the core Agumon forms from the Adventure series. The reason being is that if I made a video encompassing all of Agumon's forms, it would probably be 2 hours long. So don't you worry, I will get to those forms eventually. They will just be in separate videos. With that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Botamon is a fresh slime level Digimon. It was just born recently, and on the surface of its slime-shaped body, it has grown thick black fuzz. It is unable to battle, as it has just been born. His most notable attack is called Bubble Blow, in which Botamon produces bubble-like objects from its mouth to intimidate the opponent. Overall, this design is pretty simple but effective to me. I always really liked this form in the Digimon movie, where he's hiding under the bed and you just see these eyes peering at Tai. It was such a cool looking design, pretty creepy looking. And I like how this black fuzz, it almost looks like this shadowy, I don't know, this design just makes the fur look so alive, like it's moving, like the shadowy, scary blob. Moving along, we have KOROMON. KOROMON is an in-training lesser level Digimon. It is a tiny Digimon that has shed the fuzz covering its surface, and whose body grew even bigger. Although it has become able to move around more actively, it is still unable to battle. It can produce bubbles from its mouth to intimidate opponents. His most notable attack is Bubble Blow. KOROMON produces bubbles from its mouth to intimidate the opponent. So this design to me has always been an interesting one. It's the one I always go to when I refer to in training level Digimon, because I always thought that it kind of looks like a chewed up piece of bubble gum. It's still a cute design to me. It just is, it's a little lacking compared to what is to come in Agumon's later forms. But the description does make sense, as KOROMON's always trying to fight, but he always winds up getting his butt kicked. So it's fun to see that they included that here, that he just is not much of a fighter. Moving along, we have Agumon. Agumon is a rookie level reptile Digimon. Agumon has grown up and become able to walk on 2 legs, and has an appearance like a tiny dinosaur. Because it is still on the way to adulthood, its power is low, but as its personality is quite ferocious, it doesn't understand fear. It has grown hard, sharp claws on both its hands and feet and demonstrates its power in battle. It is also a being that foretells Digivolution to a great and powerful Digimon. His most notable attack includes Pepper Breath, in which Agumon spits flame breath from its mouth to attack the opponent. His next attack, Sharp Claws, in which Agumon attacks the enemies with its razor-sharp claws. So overall, I've always loved the design of Agumon. It's a Digimon I think of whenever anyone mentions the word Digimon. He is their version of Pikachu. The tiny dinosaur design was an excellent choice. I always thought it was super cool looking as a kid, and it still holds up to this day. Although in the description here, it does mention that Agumon is not a very powerful rookie Digimon, which is interesting to me because he always was able to hold his own, but I'm guessing that is because Agumon does not show fear, as it says here in the description. Moving along, we have Greymon. Greymon is a champion level dinosaur Digimon. Greymon's cranial skin has hardened so that it is covered in a rhinoceros beetle-like shell. It is an extremely aggressive Digimon, with a body like a lethal weapon covered in sharp claws and gigantic horns. However, it is highly intelligent, and if you're able to tame it, then there probably isn't any monster as strong. His most notable attacks include Nova Blast, in which Greymon spews ultra high temperature flames or a flame shot from its mouth to reduce everything to ashes. His other attack, Great Horns Attack, in which Greymon impales the opponent on its horns. So Greymon is an excellent design. I've always loved every single variation of Greymon there was. They always do such a great job putting so much detail into the design. I love the orange and blue stripes. It just makes Greymon stand out so much. And I loved the, I guess, like skeleton, I guess they describe it as a what they say, a rhinoceros beetle like shell on its head. It's super cool, such a smart idea. It really makes them stand out so much. I always really like the idea of fire Digimon to begin with, so having a dinosaur that spits out these giant fireballs, it makes it just kind of like a dragon. So cool, just so cool. Next up we have MetalGreymon. MetalGreymon is an ultimate level cyborg Digimon. MetalGreymon has mechanized more than half of its body, incorporating technology appropriated from Agumon. The MetalGreymon of Folder Continent are cyborg Digimon that succeed in perfectly digivolving from Greymon and draw out a stronger power which cannot be compared with those of File Island. In order to digivolve to MetalGreymon, it must fight its way through and defeat the formidable opponents who come against it. Also, MetalGreymon's offensive power is said to equal that of a single nuclear warhead, and if the likes of a low-level Digimon suffer that blow, it would be annihilated without leaving a trace. Its trident arm is made from enhanced chrome Digizoid. His most notable attacks include Mega Claw, in which MetalGreymon launches its tethered trident arm to slash or wrap up its enemies. His next attack is called Giga Blaster, in which MetalGreymon fires organic missiles from the hatch on part of its chest. So I always enjoyed MetalGreymon's look. I always thought it was a weird idea from Greymon to MetalGreymon. I mean, Digimon tend to have that leap from, oh okay, this is just a dinosaur Digimon, to holy crap, now this guy has like a rocket launcher on his arm, or in this case, on his chest. He has literally a weird rocket launcher thing on his chest that shoots missiles that has like a mouth on it. It's super bizarre, but for some reason I always loved it. It looks great. It looks cool. It's a very cool design, although it doesn't necessarily make super much sense, much like that sentence. But I do like that they kind of try to explain it here in the description, that I guess since before they said Greymon is super intelligent, it's basically using Agumon parts in order to upgrade itself. So in a weird way, it's even more messed up this way, that Greymon essentially defeats a bunch of Agumon and then using its corpse incorporates all of its mechanical bits and pieces to its own body to enhance itself. It's kind of bizarre, but it's still a cool design. Moving along, we have WarGreymon. WarGreymon is a mega level dragon Digimon. WarGreymon is the strongest dragon warrior whose body is clad in armor of the super metal chrome Digizoid. It is the ultimate form of Greymon species Digimon. Though it differs from the gigantic figure seen in Greymon species Digimon and has the form of a man type, it has rapidly improved its speed and power, and it is likely impossible to defeat it with the attacks of an ultimate Digimon. The Dramon Destroyers equipped to both of its arms exhibit immense power against Dramon species Digimon, while simultaneously being double-edged swords that put its own life at great risk. Also, when the shells equipped on its back unite into one, they become the Brave Shield, which is a shield of the strongest toughness. It is said that the moment that a true hero among veteran warriors awakened to its own mission, it digivolves into WarGreymon. His most notable attacks include Terra Force, in which WarGreymon takes all of the energy within the atmosphere and concentrates it into one spot, then fires it as an extremely dense, high-temperature energy shot. His other attack, Great Tornado, in which WarGreymon spins at tremendous speed like a tornado and launches itself at the enemy. So overall, I always loved this design. WarGreymon was my favorite Digimon from the original Adventure series. He was just so freaking cool. Of course, this also has to do with he was one of the very few Mega Digimon that we got from the original series, and particularly from the DigitalDestined themselves, so that kind of lent to my favoritism quite a bit. I also like the lore that he basically has these Dramon slayers on his arms here. His claws can literally essentially one-shot any Dramon species Digimon, but it also puts WarGreymon at risk just having those weapons as well. I thought that was a nice touch. Moving along, we have VictoryGreymon. VictoryGreymon is a Mega level Dragon Man Digimon. VictoryGreymon is a subspecies of WarGreymon, whose body is clad in armor of the super metal Chrome Digizoid. It easily wields its gigantic crushing sword, Dramon Breaker, and is the dragon warrior of heroes that fights against its opponents with unique sword techniques. In addition, VictoryGreymon possesses an evolutionary code that differs from Digimon that were naturally born in the digital world, and it is thought that it is a Digimon that digivolved from a Digi-Egg that was produced due to artificial data intervention. His most notable attacks include Dramon Breaker. VictoryGreymon performs a heroic sword technique with the Dramon Breaker, in which it strikes the opponent instead of slashing, pulverizing them. His other attack, Trident Gaia, in which VictoryGreymon splits the Dramon Breaker and equips the pieces to its arm, takes all the energy within the atmosphere and concentrates it into the tips of the sword, then fires it. His other attack, Victory Charge, in which he performs a unique sword technique with the Dramon Breaker, which reflects back an opponent's attack. And finally, Victory Shield. VictoryGreymon unites the shell equipped on its back into a shield which it wields. So although we never got to see VictoryGreymon in the anime so far, it is a awesome design. Anytime a Digimon gets a sword, it's just super cool looking, and I really like how it very much so is a natural progression to WarGreymon. A lot of the times with Digimon, they kind of go from point A to point D without even remotely resembling anything in between. Like for example, in my other video with Palmon goes from Palmon to Tokomon, which is this weird cactus looking Digimon, and then it goes back to Lilymon. It kind of goes back and forth between these weird forms, whereas WarGreymon to VictoryGreymon just feels natural. Their designs look similar enough, but there's so many differences that just amplify WarGreymon's natural features. I love VictoryGreymon's sword. I like that he can break it up into two different pieces and attach it to his arms in order to shoot out these super powerful energy blasts. I thought that is a super cool idea. I just overall love the design. I think they did an excellent job with this one. But what do you guys think? Which one of Agumon's evolutions do you like best? Are you a WarGreymon fan? Do you like VictoryGreymon? Let me know down in the comments below. And as I said, I do plan on making other videos about Agumon and his other variations, such as the Digimon Savers Agumon, which digivolves into like Rise Greymon and Shine Greymon. I plan on doing that, as well as the X-antibody forms of Agumon. So be sure to hit that subscribe button down below to stay up to date. Be sure to hit that like button as well, as it really does help the channel. And of course, hit the notification bell icon, as it is the only way to stay notified when I post a new video. Thank you so much, DigiDestined, for watching, and be sure to come back to the Digital Champion HQ.